Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com here. Chenin Blanc Part 2. And 3 wines just now, and they're all from the same appellation, Savenière. Savenière, arguably the place that makes the finest dry Chenin Blanc in the Loire, and probably as a result of that in the world. I don't know who else in the world would put a claim to making dry Chenin as well as they do in the Loire. Maybe there's a few bits of South Africa that do. Maybe a few bits of Australia. Who can tell? But I think that Savenière in particular, when it gets it right, is absolutely fabulous. When it doesn't get it right, it's almost like it's one of those wines that can be a bit like if you like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. No. If you like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, having a cold shower, then eating porridge, going for 2 marathons, and then reading lots of Kafka or something like that. If you're a real pleasure seeker like that. Anyway, when it gets it right, though, it can be brilliant. It can be this severe but intense experience. It's got a couple of what they call cru, finer bits of the appellation. One's called Coulet de Serran. And one's called La Roche au Moine. Don't think I've got anything from those 3 here. No. Anyway, the first one I've got, Domaine FL. If you saw the first Chenin video, I had a dry and a sweet Chenin from Domaine FL, and this is their Savenière. From Chamboureau. What happened to Domaine FL? There's if you want to find out all about Domaine FL, there's quite a bit of a story behind what's been happening there in the last few years. Go on Chris Kissack's winedoctor.com. There's some good info there. But anyway, Chamboureau is a property that they own in Savenière. Anyway, 2007. Now, Savenière used to be this quite severe, tight wine, as I was saying. Some producers have been making it in an almost opposite end of the spectrum, trying to get things as ripe as possible, and making wines that are knocking 14.5–15%. For me, then they don't really capture the essence of Savenière. Be interesting to see what the alcohol is here. If I can find it, 14%, so probably on the higher end. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be one of those where you're not sure whether you're smelling Chenin, or sometimes it almost smells like you're having quite a big blobby New World Chardonnay in some Savenière, in some vintages. But this smells like it's got that appley intensity that I want in good Chenin. But it's also got this slightly earthy, metallic minerality behind it. Now that wine won't appeal to everybody because it's got a lot of intensity. It's have you ever been sitting next to one of those people at dinner who is almost too intense for their own good? 5 minutes with them is good. Half an hour is just about bearable. And after another hour, you sort of feign diarrhea and leave for the evening. Well, this is not quite diarrhea wine, but what it is, it's a wine that will divide people. Some people will love it for that minerally intensity, for that severe, dry severity. Others will just find that a little bit too extreme. Me, I like it. I like it. I know it's not a wine that you can drink heaps and heaps of. But then who drinks heaps and heaps of any wine? Yeah, severity but with richness. Very nice wine. And I think as I watch that bottle evolve over the next couple of hours, probably over the next couple of days even, it'll unfurl more. I feel that's got great potential. Next one, 2 years older, from Pierre Soulet and his Chateau de Chamboureau, Cuvée d'Avon. Let's give this a whirl. So it feels a bit more relaxed. It doesn't feel like it's going to be quite as intense or severe. There's more of that apple flavour. Some maybe quince even. There's a slight citrus element here, and it's not lemons. Yeah, quince I think is something I get there. But again, this slightly metallic minerality. Now it's funny that because there's a slight edge of maturity there. It's starting to go not raisiny, but a little bit of oxidation there has opened up some of the fruit flavours, and the finish you're left with is really dry, and it's not. It's funny. It's not got the purity and the richness of the first one. It's almost like a more broad wine. It's not as cultured. It's intense, but yeah, not as fine-boned. It was a hard act to follow, the Domaine FL, and I mean, it's done a reasonable task. But after the first one, it doesn't have that freshness, zing, and life that I want in a good dry Chenin. And yes, it feels like in the winemaking there's just been that little bit laissez-faire attitude. There's this great expression, hands-off winemaking, and you watch people doing hands-off winemaking and they are watching what's happening like a hawk. What hands-off winemaking means for me, well, it was an Australian winemaker who put it best to me. He's dead now, Bailey Carradis from Yarra Yering. He said you should be able to taste the winemaker's thumbprint, but not his footprint. And here I think that maybe they almost did the hands off so much that you can't, that the thumbprint is missing. They've just let something slip a little bit there and lost a bit of freshness in the process. A final wine, and this is 1999, so over 10 years old now. Domaine Laurent Savinier Cuvée des Genêts, and never tried this. I've tried wines from the other two before, but never from these guys. Now this is, I don't know what the alcohol is level is here, 12.5%. So this is what I call more traditional style Chenin. This is a sort of wine that if you tried it when it had first been bottled, like 9.5, 10 years ago, it would almost have been buttock-clenchingly undrinkable. But over the 10 years in bottle, it's softened, it's mellowed. Some of those, the acidity doesn't disappear from a wine, because I don't know if you've ever had a wine that's too old. One of the things you notice most about it is acidity. What happens is the acidity gets more in balance with the rest of the flavours as they gently relax. But here it feels like it's relaxed, and yes, there's going to be a bit of acidity, but the flavours should be in balance with it. And it's developed this honeyed, nutty character. It's one of those wines where when you come across that character for the first time, you think it's going to be sweet, but no, it is honey and nut, and then dry finish, and the acidity does come through. It freshens your mouth up, but it doesn't leave you thinking I need to go to the dentist tomorrow. And it's 12.5%, but it almost comes across as a fuller bodied wine than that. What I like about it, maybe it's medium bodied, full flavoured. It's not a very classy example of Savinier. I think that this is the Domaine FL is going to be a classier wine at 10 years old than this. But it's a really lovely, honest, mellow wine, and I mean, I can't remember how much it is. It's probably about 16, 17 pounds at the moment. And for a wine of that maturity, it's still fresh, it's complex, and it'll be a talking point. Again, I think with all Savinier, it's going to be one of those wines you shove it on a table and there's 6 of you and you have a glass each. Half of you are going to love it, half of you are going to go, oh, get me something else. But for me, I think that this Savinier is a fascinating place to try dry, severe white wines, and I can't think of too many other places in the world that make styles like this. Bully for them. See you soon.